Hello. Hello, police. Yeah, what's the problem, sir? We just drove down our farm track. Yeah. Go and feed our pheasants. We come across a Range Rover with 3 people in it. Yeah. It appears that they're dead. I don't know what's happening. Blood in the motor all over them.
And welcome back to a new video on the Essex Boys case. As always, if you are enjoying the content, please do give the video a thumbs up. And if you're interested in the Essex Boys case, or simply true crime in general, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. Now, before I start this video, it's important for me to mention that the author does not seek to discredit any previous accounts or versions of events leading up to the gruesome murders. He merely offers an interesting alternative scenario to be considered. First thing Tuesday, and Bill walked into the office of Detective Superintendent Spendlove. Spendlove was not at his desk. His office, however, was not empty. Mr. P stood and greeted Bill warmly, and indicated for him to sit at the same place he'd occupied before. Mr. P took a seat on the leather sofa on the opposite side of the coffee table, where he sat back and relaxed. Next to Mr. P sat a casually dressed character, jeans and a sweatshirt. On the table in front of the man was a baseball cap and a pair of sunglasses. The guy had a trendy looking coat next to him on the sofa and wore a Cartier Santos watch, bimetal, steel and gold. The man looked very out of place in the formally furnished dark wood and green leather office of the superintendent. He would have looked more at home in Raquel's nightclub, thought Bill. Bill, I would like to introduce you to John. Or I should say, Darren Nichols. John, aka Nichols, leant forward. No expression to tell what was going on in his mind. He took Bill's hand, and it was a firm handshake. Not too strong, just a steady and confident man. The man was a good few years younger than Bill at first glance, but maybe if you looked closer, then not so much. Maybe 4 or 5 at most. It was the clothes which made the difference. Bill kept quiet. He had no idea what was coming next. John is with us. When I say that, I mean John is one of us. Same team, as it were. Works in a different way to you though, Bill. But nevertheless, all part of the same side. Now, we've all been following this with a great deal of interest, and the behaviour of the animals on your watch is not going to be tolerated. Okay. It was all Bill could say. Mr. P wasn't shouting, but it was a steely tone in his whisper. Now, we have a dirty copper caught up in the middle of this mess, which is spiralling out of control. I'd agree with that. Bill didn't know where this was going. What would you do with your Essex boys if they were your dogs? Put them down before they bite someone else? Daft question, but the right answer. Bill still wasn't any the wiser as to where this was going. Exactly, Bill. How do you think we can stop this little firm from biting someone else? Bill shrugged his shoulders. Well, if they go ahead with their planning, maybe someone else will do it for you. It's a nice thought, Bill, but not a practical one. If we end up with a field of dead bodies in the middle of a sleepy Essex town and it leads to an all-out turf war, then on top of what's just gone on, well, drug wars and drug deaths, it all starts becoming a bit too noisy and very messy. It's embarrassing. Looks like we can't keep our animals under control. Added to the mix, the Essex police already look rather impotent. They are supposed to have this firm under surveillance. Your Essex boys firm managed to knock over a bunch of the competition while under surveillance. Then another regional force will have to be called in to look at it. Maybe it comes to light that these corrupt officers in the Essex force were working with these toe rags all along. Then we end up with a public inquiry. And it just goes on and on. And we don't like washing our dirty linen in public. I understand all that. So surely we have to intervene in some way. Steer the event so it doesn't end up getting out of hand? Absolutely, Bill. I couldn't agree more. It's actually why you're here. I just wanted to be clear that you understood how complex this all is and how limited our options are. So, Bill, you have no doubt that these guys will go for the cocaine they think is coming in, if they had the chance. Bill's mind was running another scenario in his head, as well as trying to keep up with Mr. P and answer his questions. Did this mean the delivery of cocaine was actually planned for a couple of weeks, and the Essex boys were being led by the nose? It also answered a nagging question Bill had about the Darren Nichols character. He had somehow been different, and now it made sense. He was obviously some form of deep undercover officer and part of the bigger plan. Maybe his cousin, if it was his cousin, was the plant in Clive's firm. When Bill had been at Romford, everyone had pretty much agreed that undercover stuff wasn't at all in the box anymore. Informants were always cultivated, but undercover wasn't really an option. It took too long to work anyone in and was too dangerous. Well, someone obviously thought otherwise. Yeah, I think they're definitely going to have a go for it. Last night they were chasing the bent copper hard. Tucker wants a meeting urgently, and it's to get the location of the landing strip. They're definitely serious, and they'll go for it, if they get a chance. Mr. P glanced at John before speaking. Now, Bill, would it surprise you if I told you there is no plane coming in? There's no delivery of cocaine planned this week, or next week, or the week after as far as we know. Bill looked from Mr. P to John and back. Both remained expressionless. Nothing surprises me, sir. There wasn't a lot else that Bill could think of to say. Is Sergeant Green about to arrive? No, Bill, he's not. He's not one of us. He's a bent copper. You can take that one to the bank. You're 100% right in your assumptions about him. Bill was glad of that, but it didn't help. He was now even more confused. He was almost beginning to lose grip on reality. He wasn't glad that the copper was bent, just glad that he got something right. Mr. P could see Bill's head running the questions, trying to find some answers. Look, Bill, Basildon CID genuinely believe there is a possibility of a light aircraft with cocaine on board landing in Essex for the firm in East London. That bit is accurate, and we identified the potential landing strip as well. Your Sergeant Green had a good gander at the map, and it's somewhere he should be able to find easily enough. So there are no drugs? No, Bill, there are no drugs. Well, not arriving by plane in a field which we know of, not imminently anyway. John smiled as Mr. P said it. Right, so what's the deal then? It all just got very mysterious for Bill. Now he had some of the facts clearer, he was more confused rather than less. Bill, would you kill a murderer? The question came out of nowhere and caught Bill way off target. Mr. P noticed the hesitation and stepped back in. Bill, I have watched your career with interest. Would it surprise you if initially the police force was going to reject your application? You probably know there are none of your regiment in the police. It's not a natural progression for the skill set they teach you there. Things had taken an unusual turn, and Bill hadn't really anything to say, so he shrugged his shoulders. He was in another uniform, in another life. In his head, at least. Bill looked at the two guys opposite him. The silence was deafening. It was all a long time ago, sir. It was all that Bill could think of to say. You never forget what they teach you. It wasn't a question from Mr. P. Well, no, sir, I guess you don't. So you know the answer to your earlier question already then, don't you? Bill said the last statement with more confidence. There was no point in playing games. The man opposite him clearly knew what Bill was, or what he had been. If you had the call again, Bill, would you be up for the job? Fuck me, where's this going? That was all Bill could think. Yes, was all he said. Now, Bill, we ran this ruse about the cocaine to see if these guys would actually go for it. We suspected for some time they were likely to pull a stunt like this if they had the chance. We held our breath when they went to Holland, and I can tell you we just about got away with it. Or did we? Because that's where the pill which killed young Miss Leah Betts came from. So maybe we all have blood on our hands somewhere. As you know, these bastards are capable of killing. You've been on the other end of the phone when they've done it, so to speak. Now they are under immense pressure, even more dangerous and unpredictable than ever. Now, originally we had intentions of perhaps just arresting them all in a field, armed to the teeth with automatic weapons. The trouble is, to do that, we have to drop Essex police out of the equation, for obvious reasons. As you know, they could make a stand and shoot it out, which could be messy, or they could all just disappear in the dark. If we pick them up, then the lawyers and courts have a field day. We might take a couple of them off the grid for a while, but it's unlikely we'll get all of them. Odds on things will get complicated, especially if we used another police force. Questions will be asked. The lawyers will smell the weakness. We seriously undermine Essex police at the very least, and that's at a time when they aren't looking good anyway. Now your Essex firm are unpopular to say the least in their world. They are getting more and more isolated, and someone might make a move. they might not. The country is at last waking up to the dangers of the shit the kids are taking, and we have some good coming out of that tragedy. If one of the other firms does hit them, then maybe they will do us a favour. But our boys are edgy and not likely to be easy targets. They feel threatened and they will be on their guard. If you don't get all the top boys in one go, then the others will know they have to hit back and hard, or be next. Added to that, we have Essex police currently keeping tabs on them, so it'd be a bit embarrassing for us if it went down like that. Anyone gets hit professionally around here, and it's eventually going to creep out who's behind it. Especially if the mob behind the hit end up with your Essex firm's turf the next fucking day. What we don't want is any one of the existing scumbags gaining from this. Now would also be a good time to strike another blow to the morale of all these scumbags across the land. What we want is them all running scared and second guessing each other as to who has made a play on your Essex boys. You have been listening to the book Once Upon a Time in Essex. This book is available to purchase online at Amazon and other online book retailers. Many thanks for joining me for this video. Very shortly you'll be able to see some other videos from the channel, including the Essex Boys playlist, which has all of the videos concerning this case in one convenient folder. If you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I look forward to seeing you all again in the next video. Take care. Cheers.